and love myself, and you give power and influence to the wrong people, look how it turns out. You have to hype yourself up when nobody else on the external is hyping you up. You have Hello and welcome back to Ascension with V. I am your host, Stashia Jeanette, aka V, and today we are going to talk about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart because it's something that I've recently had to master, understand, and implement into my life in order for me to get to where I am and continue to go through the things that I'm going through, with the unwavering faith that I have. And that topic being the role that self-love plays in being able to break through limiting beliefs. And what do I mean by limiting beliefs? A lot of times we come here kind of programmed or having these patterns or thoughts or habits just ingrained within us, from birth, from generation to generation to generation to generation to generation. And those things can be things of not feeling like you're good enough, or not feeling like you're worthy of love, or not feeling like you're worthy of success, or not feeling like you're, something of this nature, right? These are things like negative self-talk, the way that you talk to yourself. These are things that a lot of people experience from a really young age, and especially even more so if you have not had a nurturing relationship with your parents. If you've not seen the Mommy and Daddy Issues episode of Ascension with V, I'll put it in the description box here below for you guys to check out, because I think it will also kind of tie in well here. But if you've also had that as a contributing factor as you go through your life, it can also add fuel to the fire of the limiting beliefs and the negative self-talk and the way that you view yourself as a whole. Right. So like if your relationship with your parents was not the greatest, or if you didn't receive the kind of love that you would have liked to receive from your parents or your authority figures, or, be it teachers, be it mentors, whatever the case may be, a person that held a meaningful role within your life, if you craved their acceptance, if you craved their praise, if you craved their acknowledgement, and then they never gave it to you, that in turn makes you feel like you just weren't worthy, or you were never good enough, or something of this nature. And it really can have a really detrimental effect on your mental well-being, your mental health, and the way that you think about yourself, the way that you feel about yourself, and the way that you talk to yourself internally, your internal dialogue. So when it comes to your internal dialogue, every single day, currently right now, take some time and think, how do you think about yourself? How do you talk to yourself? When you look at yourself in the mirror and you see yourself for the first thing in the morning. Now, listen, I know a lot of us, when we first wake up, we looking rough, and that's not really what I mean. But when you look into the mirror the first time that you see yourself throughout the day, whether you're brushing your teeth or while you're washing your face or getting out of the shower and getting dressed, whatever the case may be, what are the thoughts and internal dialogue that you have with yourself when you first lay eyes on your reflection in the mirror? Really think about it. What is the first thing that comes to mind inside your brain, your internal dialogue, when you see yourself? Is it something that's positive? Is it something that's negative? And don't try to lie your way through this. Don't try to BS your way through this. Really be. If it's not positive dialogue that you're having with yourself when you first lay eyes on yourself in the mirror, then what is it that you're telling yourself? Is it, something of, oh, I wish that my hair looked better. Oh, I wish my skin was better. Oh, I wish my eyes, nails, teeth, whatever the case may be, were better? Or, is it something that is building yourself up? Damn, I'm looking fine today. Or I'm really feeling myself, but if it's not, what is that dialogue? And then again, if it comes from the place of being like, I wish X, Y, and Z looked better or needs to be better kind of thing, if it's you going into over analytical, overly critical, self-critical mode immediately on site with yourself, that's something that you got to sit down and dig through and figure out, why is that? Why do you feel like that's something that you need to be tearing apart on yourself, and what made you get to that point? I think that's the thing that a lot of people miss, is that we don't question ourselves. We don't question the patterns when they come up. We don't question like, whoa, why did I think that? Why do I not think that I'm good enough? Why do I not think that the way that my hair is good enough? Why is my skin not good enough? Like, these are questions that need to be asked, and nobody wants to ask them because they usually lead down a trail of painful thoughts or experiences or memories. But like, you have to unpack it. You have to unpack it to get to the root cause of it, and then essentially extract the root so that it never comes back again. And you only get that, you only do that by really sitting and analyzing and asking those hard-hitting questions to yourself. And so that's something that I have recently been doing, and it's really rewarding, honestly, when you can get to a point of looking at yourself in the mirror. And side note, I don't know if I ever discussed this on a podcast openly or not. I know I've said it when I was a guest on somebody else's podcast. As far as on my own podcast, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but there was a period in time when I was first coming off of my medications, the SSRIs and benzos and things of that nature, where I literally could not look at myself in the mirror at all, period, whatsoever. I number one, I was going through like some weird psychosis situation, and outside of that, it was so scary for me because I didn't know what I looked like. And let me dive a little bit further into that. It's almost like I had this false perception of what I really looked like while I was on medication. And then while I was coming off of it, I had no idea who it was that I was looking at in the mirror, because essentially for what, 15 plus years, 16 plus years, 20 plus years, I was on medications that altered the way that I viewed everything in life, including myself. And so this was the first time, I mean, imagine like taking a sledgehammer to a mirror and just seeing like fragments, shattered fragments of the mirror, and each slice of the mirror having a different picture, a different reflection of what quote unquote you looked like. And that's essentially what I was seeing. That's essentially what I was going through. It was intense. It was scary. You know, I'm not one to like openly admit that I'm scared about something, but like that was a time in my life where I was actually scared. I was scared to look in the mirror because I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know what I looked like. I really didn't know what I looked like. And so I avoided for a really, really long time looking into the mirror. And then before I got to the point where I just altogether avoided looking into the mirror, I would catch glimpses of myself, like I said, kind of coming out of the shower or looking, brushing my teeth or doing my hair or something of this nature. And it's like the reflection would grab a hold of my neck and like force me to look at it. And every time I would look at it, it would just be like nothing but negative self-talk, negative things being said to me, and it would like pull me closer and pull me closer and pull me closer and pull me closer and pull me closer until, I was essentially like face to face with the mirror, and it was like saying terrible things like, you'll never be good enough, and you're not pretty enough, and this, that, and the third, and, things of the, and then like, I don't know, it was weird. Like it was like I would see my face essentially like melting off into the mirror. And again, it was a whole mind trip. It was scary. But the most vivid thing that stands out to me and will always be in my memory is the way that reflection was talking to me. And I realized literally like that was the broken part of me. That was like the really hurt, dark part of me that was like reaching out like, you don't remember me? I'm going to make you remember, like that kind of thing. And the fact that it literally like grabbed me by the neck and was forcing me, and I could like see the indentions in my cheek, like grabbing me. pulling me face to face with it, almost as if, like, looking at your own demon, looking at the devil within, essentially is what it was like. And it was like all the things that I had been saying to myself subconsciously was staring back at me in the mirror. And I had to combat that with, like, no, it's not true. That's not true. That's not true. It's not true, but then it broke me for a little while. It did. Like I said, I stopped looking in the mirror for a good while, a couple of months, because I was shattered at that point, and I didn't know, again, I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know what I really looked like. And at that point in time, it was just me having to go within and sit with God's source universe and sit with my spirit guides and kind of let them love on me and nurture me. And then, listen to some good stuff being put into me from God's source universe. But God's source universe doesn't make it easy. It would constantly ask me, like, who are you? Who do you think you are? Who are you really? And then sometimes I would hear, like, the voice come back of being like, you are nothing, and this, that, and the third. And then God's source universe would kind of chime in and be like, do you think that though? Is that true? Is it really? And would make me question it, would make me question those thoughts and make me ask the questions to myself. Why are you saying that? And I would go and sit with my darkness. I would go sit with that pain. I would go sit with my inner devil, and I would ask it the questions like, hey, why are you so pissed off? Hey, why are you so pissed off? What happened? Why are we angry? And I know it sounds really, really strange and bizarre, but, like, this is real shit. This is really what I went through. This is really what happened to me. And this is really how I got through it and how I dealt with it. So I'm not telling you guys anything that I have not had to go through myself and that I didn't do myself. I really did just go within and spend a lot of time alone. I spent a lot of time crying. I spent a lot of time feeling afraid, and that's not really the move either, because hindsight, there was nothing for me to be afraid of, and I'm pretty sure 90% of it wasn't actually something that I needed to be afraid of. But God's source universe puts you through these things so that you can learn. It's training, at the end of the day, it's training. And I came out fortified at the other end, at the other side of it, but I really did, I really did take a lot of time to ask myself, why did I think that of myself? Who or what was it that made me feel like I was not good enough? Why I was not acceptable the way that I am? And again, the biggest hard-hitting question was, who am I really? And I had to ask God's source universe frequently, like, who am I in your eyes? Why did you make me? When you made me, what did you make me for? And again, God's source universe doesn't like to, it is a sick sense of humor, honestly. It doesn't like to give a straight answer. It's like a lot of riddles and rhymes and cues and synchronicities, and a lot of, like, going through the spiral pathways and in through the bookshelves, and to kind of get a roundabout answer of things, because it's ultimately within you. You know who and what you are and what you're meant to be doing. And God's source universe is going to make you wait. I'm going to make you work for it in order to recover those answers. But once you do, it'll lead you. It'll lead you down the very windy path internally to the information that you need to have in order to rediscover who you really are in the eyes of God's source universe and what you're here to do. And it will give you the physical cues and synchronicities and backups, confirmations to let you know, yes, 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 this is it. This is the thing. Yes, you're right. You're right. That's it. This is it. Yes. You're on to it. That's right. Kind of situation. And so while it was a really intense and scary situation for me, it was so worth it, because it was a process of rediscovering who and what I truly am and what I'm supposed to be doing, what my soul mission and destiny is and purpose is, why I've gone through the things that I've gone through is so I could be here right now telling you about the things that I went through right here currently on this episode. And that's how it will be for you guys as well. But you have to have the courage to face your inner devil, and you have to have the courage to sit with your own inner devil and ask your inner devil, why are you so pissed off? Why are you so mad for? Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Come on. We're gonna go confront them in the spirit together. Come on, let's do this. But you have to unite with your pain, really. Like, you gotta join forces, you gotta understand it, you gotta wanna understand it to be able to fully dissect and really thoroughly analyze and introspect every single part of you that doesn't feel good enough or worthy for the version of you that you truly are. And it's not an overnight process. And like I said, it's a little scary, it's intense, but you come out so much better once you do this, once you get this under wraps, once you get this taken care of, and you won't regret it. But the limiting beliefs really do affect your life a whole lot more than you think, because I was saying no to a lot of things because I just didn't think that I was worthy of them. I didn't think that I deserved them. And again, where does that come from? Like, that's a thought that you have to sit back and really grasp. Why do what is it that made me feel like I'm not worthy or I'm not good enough? And also find out in your astrological birth chart, find out where your Chiron wounding is. What house is it in? What sign is it in? Because that will tell you even more so where it is, like to a T, that you need to spend a lot of time working on and giving a little more effort and extra love to. Like, mine is Chiron Leo 5th house. And that's literally about exactly that, like the wound of being seen and receiving recognition and putting your creations out there and being like receiving positive recognition for the things that you're doing. Like, it's rough, and God's source universe has continuously rubbed salt into that wound frequently until, I got to the point, and it still is a work in progress. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, like, it's still a work in progress, but here I am, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing the things actively, but it's consistency, it's repetition, it's something that you have to constantly work on and work through, especially if it's deep rooted, it's like a Chiron thing. It takes a lifetime's worth of effort to get to the point to where the salt no longer has an effect, and you are very capable of doing the thing that used to cause you so much pain and discomfort to do. And the best way that I can give my last final bit of encouragement and advice to reach the end goal of being healed and loving yourself enough to release those limiting beliefs is by loving and accepting every part of who you are, as cliche as it is. But literally, once I started, there was a time, really, like, I say it frequently, but I think people don't think that I mean it when I said it. But there was a time where I was like very suicidal. Like, trigger warning, sorry, but there was a time where I was I did not love myself at all, because I had just gone through so much shit. And I was just, I guess, like, undefeated. Just I hit the F it button, like, F it. And I didn't care. But like from 13 through 25, like on and off, there were times where I really tried to peace out. I really tried to just I can't say like actively, but like I had a lot of self-harm times where that was just my out, because it was interesting. I couldn't feel a lot of things, but yet at the same time I was hurting so much internally. So the way that like I dealt with things was through that. And don't recommend it at all. Don't do that. But I'm giving you the backstory to tell you guys that really there was a time where I was not good to myself. I did not love myself whatsoever. And thus we became a breeding ground of negative self-talk and limiting beliefs. And once I started loving myself, once I started putting myself first and not what other people wanted or expected of me, and not what was going to make other people happy, and not what was going to make me popular, not what was going to be socially acceptable, and I started doing things that I wanted to do, and that was in alignment with what my soul's calling was, I started healing. And I finally got to the point to where I could come off of the medications, but that was like years later, 5 to 7 years later, once I started doing the I love myself process. This is what I'm saying. Like it wasn't an overnight thing for me at all. And anybody who's been following my story since the time when I was in that phase where I totally didn't love myself, like, hey, nice to meet you, because I'm not the same person any longer. But there are people who have seen me in the trenches, like bad, and but yeah, that's the secret. Everybody wants to know what the secret sauce is to healing yourself, to healing your mind, to healing your body, to healing your soul, and taking back your power to rise like the phoenix or shed the skin like a locust. It's that. It's that. It's that you have to go through the process of purging. You have to sit with your inner devil. You have to understand it. You have to get to know it. You have to soothe it. You have to become an ally with it, because ultimately it is a part of you. Just as they say that God was within you, so too do you have an inner devil, and is not external. Neither are external to you. They're both within you, and you need to balance both of them. You need to have a good relationship with both, because at the end of the day, both of them help you to survive and thrive in life. And that's what I have for you guys. And I hope it was helpful, and I hope it made some sense, and I hope that the way that God Source Universe channels through me and its ever so winding, cryptic rhymes and tales hopefully makes sense to somebody who needs it at some point in time. That's my ultimate goal. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. Don't forget that you can apply to work one-on-one with me on ascensionoraclev.com. And on there, I'm in the process of migrating everything over to the website. So you'll find all the products, you'll find all the new blog stuff. You can subscribe to the blog for like $5 a month. Super great. Get access to the exclusive videos, energy reading videos that I do every week. It'll be pulled over there. The PDFs, you can find some exclusive PDFs over there that you can get only there. And the blog. Every week it'll be a new blog post with some channeled information and things. And yeah, that's what I got. And also the new Earth Guidebook to Healing and Ascension is available on Amazon. And don't forget, until next time, I'll see you guys. Mwah. B Squad.